Hey everyone, we're going to take a quick break and talk about our sponsors for the month, AMP Agency. AMP is a full-service digital marketing agency that specializes in tour, rental, and destination marketing.
We would not have sponsors on the show if we could not vouch for them ourselves. AMP Agency does a bunch of stuff for Destiny Water Adventures personally. I 100% vouch for this guy. I've handed them over to other companies in the past before they officially became a sponsor, and they have had nothing but great things to say. If you guys are doing your own marketing and doing a piss poor job of it, do yourselves a favor. Hand yourselves over to AMP Agency, specifically Steve Edwards, their CEO, will call you personally and have a great conversation with you about what you guys need to do for your marketing.
Listen, guys, they do pretty much everything in digital marketing. Website development, maintenance, Google AdWords, PPC, graphic design, social media management, SEO, and a myriad of other things. When you choose a marketing company, it's so important to choose a company that knows your industry. And AMP Agency knows activity marketing, especially water sports and tours. They got a promo going for Awkward Watersport Guy listeners for their managed websites. Use promo code Awkward Podcast when you go to amp.agency. Again, that's amp.agency, promo code Awkward Podcast. You get 3 months free and get started with AMP Agency. All right, guys, let's get back to the show.
So Greg and I are doing video, and so I have to look like a fucking lunatic half the time. So, this is me. I put my hat on so I don't look crazy.
Yeah, I didn't comb my hair this morning.
Hold on. Watch this.
Oh, God.
I love it. It's almost off-putting thing for people. And I don't really understand why. But remember, a few years back, people were, getting assaulted if you were wearing a MAGA hat? I wish a motherfucker would. I'm not that guy that you steal on, though. I'm not the guy, you know what I mean? They're like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking come and grab this guy in his hat. Nope. Don't let the gray beard fool you.
I think it's just the whole movement, the MAGA movement is very polarizing. So it triggers people.
I love to troll. So 2 things I actively pay attention to all the time: water sports and entrepreneur groups. And entrepreneur groups are my guilty pleasure. So I have this theory, people that are super I'm an entrepreneur, they use that word constantly. They don't know what they want to be when they grow up, right? So it's they haven't figured out their thing, but they want to be in the group. You know what I mean? They want to be businessy and wear suits and go and talk and speak at things and and do a lot of the shit that we do. And don't get me wrong, it's fun. I can get that, but without anything behind it, you're just sort of right? It's not really a thing. You don't really not to say that coaches, consultants, and
you're a wannapreneur.
Wantrepreneur. Yeah. And listen, that's not the guys listening to this podcast. Well, I don't know who's listening to the podcast, but there's a lot of people that want to get in this game because they love boating, they love jet skis, they love being on the water, and I'm with that so much, passion-driven businesses. But I look at this stuff so much, and I don't know where I was going with this. The MAGA? Oh, Elon Musk. So I have this theory about Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk, I feel was just a highly intelligent. He didn't know what he wanted to do. So he's known as the electric car guy, but I just feel he's a troll. I feel like Twitter was his passion. He spent
exactly.
$44 million just to fuck, because he's a nerd, right? I don't know if you read his biography. It's really good. But he was just he's a huge gamer. He's emotionally unstable. He's just that guy. I think Elon Musk is brilliant, but I think he's probably on the spectrum a little bit. And I think that he's just that guy that can dial in for something for 15 or 16 hours. And he's that guy in the basement, trolling the shit out of people. So I wear the MAGA hat, not because I'm a huge Trump guy, but because I'd like to troll people. I'll go out in my front yard on my John Deere, put on my MAGA hat and some overalls, and I'm waving at people. No shirt on, so I got the tattoos, and it's what is this guy? I like fucking with people.
Yeah.
So that was a whole long-winded story. It's just the thoughts that go through my head when I go on my walk. So another thing. So I don't know if I told you, but I'm a lot more grumpy than usual. Did I tell you I've been doing 75 hard?
Yeah. Is that still a thing?
Like for me or like across the nation?
No, I mean for you, because do you take some breaks in between?
No, you can't. I've never finished it. I've never gotten through 75 full days. So
did you start again?
I started again. Today's day 60, so I'm almost done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I'm not out here shilling for Andy Frisella or 75 hard or anything, but it's helped me with some bad habits. It helped me to quit drinking. Oddly enough, after my heart attack, midlife crisis, panic crisis mode, for whatever reason, I started vaping. It's not I haven't smoked a cigarette in 10 years, but I think when I quit drinking, I still want to reach for something. And so I picked up this habit of vaping. I was at a festival and somebody had one. I was like, let me try that. It tastes like blueberry. I was like, this is great. So I do 75 hard, not because I'm trying to lose weight, but it's usually because I'm man, I have some bad habits that I really want to get rid of. And that's one of them. And so it helped me quit drinking permanently. And I haven't had a vape in 30 days or something like that. I didn't start it when I started 75 hard, but it was hurting my workout so bad that I was just I felt just tired and kind of depressed all the time. And so, so if I'm more grumpy than normal, it's because I can't have a chicken tender or an ice cream sandwich. And I'm just kind of a miserable prick. So that's we had to re-record this episode because I think Greg felt like I was just too hardcore. So the spoiler, sometimes we have to re-record episodes because I will do this for 30 straight minutes. It's off on a tailwind. Sidetrack, yeah.
Are you tired of spending countless hours managing your water sport and boat rental reservations manually? Is your current system outdated or doesn't provide the necessary features that your business requires? Hi, I'm Greg Fisher, the CEO of WaveRes, an online reservation software built by operators for operators. With our system, you can offer 24/7 online booking to your customers, allowing them to book and pay for their rentals at their convenience. You can also send SMS notifications to your customers, keeping them updated on their reservation status and any changes that may occur. Custom options and dynamic pricing enable you to offer tailored packages to your customers, helping you stand out from your competitor. Plus, our system integrates with companies like Werewolf Digital Waivers and TripShock, streamlining your operations and ensuring a seamless booking experience for your customers. Our software is the best choice for water sport and boat tour operators as it is designed to cater specifically to your needs. So why waste any more time on manual reservation management? Try WaveRes today and take your business to the next level. For a limited time, mention this ad and receive a $100 credit when you sign up. Check out waveres.com for more info or to schedule a free demo. Now let's get back to the show. Well, on today's show, we want to talk about just feature placement or paying for more prominent exposure on different platforms. And the reason why we want to talk about it now is we're getting into season. A lot of people are making marketing decisions. You might be familiar, different platforms like Viator, even TripShock, Yelp. There's a ton of them. They offer this pay per performance model, or hey, give us more commission or pay a flat fee or per click, and you can be listed higher in the search results. And, a lot of times people shit on this. It's okay, these platforms just want more money from us, right? That's the initial reaction. But the reality is that if you're in a very competitive market, if you're a boat tour in Destin, for example, there's 50 boats, right? And you're in the boat tour search result on a certain platform. If you're number 40, God help you, you're just not gonna get the exposure.
Can I add something to that? Yeah. So, and if you're in a non-competitive market, you are still competing against the overall things to do. So, the visibility that you get on Google when you're using some of these paid services through the platforms, whether you know it or not, you're getting more visibility on Google. Even if it's not branded and they're commoditizing your thing, you're still getting a ticket sale for your jet ski or boat rental or parasail or whatever it is, and you might be the only name in town, but you're still you're still competing against a horse ride, or you're competing for the ancillary revenue that people have to spend on things to do. So even if you're in a non-competitive market in your vertical, you're still very much competing against the entire marketplace. So I think there's value there as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I know like we had Dan Sandor in our group. He made a post about like, hey, I'm in an area that is not, I don't have a lot of competition. It's a more rural, it's not like Destin or Miami or whatever. What's the benefit of OTAs to me? And, as Kevin said, I'm going to add something to that. There are platforms in all markets, like, Get My Boat, Boat Setter. I believe that they're destination agnostic. I mean, they're all over. TripAdvisor is all over. And the question is, should I sign up for these platforms if I'm the only one? The answer is overwhelmingly, in my opinion, yes. Because eventually, you think you're the only person in town. Eventually, someone's going to catch wind of your success, even if it's a small success, or let's say a retiree wants to buy a couple boats and do something part-time as a passion project. Someone's going to get into your market and compete with you. And what you don't want is you don't want them signing up for these platforms before you do, build 3-4 years worth of reputation on these sites. And then now you're going to have to get, these platforms could be the platform in your market, in 5 years.
You're so nice, and it just irritates the shit out of me. So, like, what specifically? So you say this, but I only think that this, this get in early type of idea, I think is more unique to you because, I don't know. I mean, would you consider yourself a small business in comparison to Yelp?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. But sure. Why is this uniquely beneficial? And I don't care what anybody has to say, but for Trip Shock partners, this is a blatant pitch. Look, at the end of the day, I think there's something that Greg's very specific, that Greg is saying very specific to your. So tell me the difference between featured placement on Trip Shock versus featured placement or an ad on Yelp. Because I've used featured placement on Trip Shock, but will tell Yelp to go kick rocks 100 times. So I've used Accelerate on the other guys and TripAdvisor, and I tell Yelp no. So what is the difference between your product and, say, a Yelp product? Because I do believe that there's a difference in what you're saying is this whole relationship thing.
Yeah, so I want to get to that in just a second, but let me finish my thought before about platforms. So I'll just finish it off. If you sign up for these platforms early, even if you don't put all your products on, you're building that reputation, you're building that goodwill with these platforms. So if your competitors do join at a later date, you have already, you have the upper hand. You have some reviews, you have some bookings with it, you're familiar with it. But anyways, that could be a whole nother conversation.
Hold on, before you keep moving, do you think that's true of all platforms though? That there's some type of benefit to being early on Yelp versus being early on Trip Shock?
Hey guys, this is Kevin from the Awkward Watersports Guys and TakeMyBoatTest.com, the only Florida owner-operator boater safety test provider. At Take My Boat Test, we're more than just a test. We're your partners in safe boating and operation. As livery and boat rental professionals ourselves, we understand the importance of navigating our waters responsibly. That's why we've created a boater safety test tailored specifically for Florida's visitors and Florida operators. But that's not all. We're proud to offer the highest commissions in the industry to our partners because when you succeed, we succeed. Visit TakeMyBoatTest.com/partner-program for more information on how to join our growing network of safe boating partners, or email Kevin at TakeMyBoatTest.com to learn more. Don't wait. Take the first steps toward a safer, more enjoyable boating experience in Florida today. TakeMyBoatTest.com, where Florida boaters become certified operators.
Well, Yelp is a different, more like a review platform. But yeah, I think, I guess, no, you're right. It does. It's the same. I think there is a huge benefit to being early on Yelp. So if Yelp uses an algorithm that looks at your reviews as a ranking metric, then yes.
So something that be early. So then you're basically saying that I was right from the last episode when we argued about being organically recognized and trying to push reviews to those platforms.
Well,
so you're agreeing with me now. You're saying you're wrong.
If you remember, I said that you can send reviews to the other platforms. I'm just saying.
But you said it was a waste of time, though. You said, like, just send them to Google.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to choose between which platform, I would choose Google and send majority of my reviews to Google. I wouldn't put a lot of time and effort into the other platforms.
Wouldn't it just save you a lot of words and breath if you're just like, Kevin, you were right?
No, I'm still going to hold on to what I said.
But get in early and funnel reviews to Yelp, but not too many because Google's the best place to do it. Bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying.
No, but just please, God, for the love of God, do me a favor and just help me out here. Like, don't you feel though that there's and that wasn't my point. There was an antithesis to my point. Like, I wasn't saying that TripShock and Yelp are the same thing at all, because I think there's ancillary benefits of doing business with a small business that you're not going to get with Yelp and TripAdvisor and all of these other things, because you're not as close to the end user as.
Yeah.
So tell me, like, outside, like, all right, obviously you're not giving people like your personal phone number, being like, call me on weekend, but regardless of whether or not somebody opts into the
featured placement.
Yeah. I just know from my experience dealing with your team and TripShock, featured placement, and all these things, that when I needed help with something outside of, whether it be like your team was like, hey, you want to update your content. Like, those aren't emails I got from TripAdvisor. They weren't like, hey, you want to update your content, it's a little bit dated. Like, there was a lot more communication. I wasn't on the phone with India. I was on the phone with one of your staff that worked directly with you. And this is how our whole like relationship sort of got built, because I was contacting you about our products or our services, like what this market meant, or through email or whatever. So run down some of the benefits to, and maybe there's a regional OTA in North Carolina or California, or there's these type of companies that exist solely not just in North Florida. Let's talk to that, to being early in or early adopter of a small business run OTA or a regional OTA.
I'm going to give you an example with TripShock, but it can be applied to Viator or any regional OTA or any place that you can purchase, placement, even like on a CVB or DMO site. So we have a couple clients that signed up with us early on TripShock, like 2010, 2011. And as of now, they have thousands of reviews. That, in addition to, being a great partner, providing a great product, being just very in tune to what we're doing, they have just lots and lots of goodwill. They got bookings, they have relationships with our team, but their ranking on TripShock organically is really strong. It's, these are top 5 listings. And then when we go back to our data, looking at position on search results, and I'm pretty sure this data probably is the same across the board on all platforms, but the first 3 results in any search, it could be for boat tours in Miami, boat tours in Myrtle Beach, whatever, but the top 3 results get 50% of the click-throughs. The first result gets 25%, the second result gets 15%, the third result gets 9%. And then from there, it goes down substantially. Like, it goes from like 9 to 4 to 2 to like 1. So if you're the 10th result, you're getting a fraction of the actual, click-throughs. Still can get, if there's a lot of searching on that site, you're still going to get bookings. But my point is that being on the top matters massively
on OTAs.
So on OTAs, but I think this goes across the board, and we can get into this whole thing on Google Ads, stuff like that. We're just going to focus on just like platforms.
I just want to go back and just like, I want to listen to this episode against the one where you just said it didn't matter, and I just like, I really want to like listen to these two things. Like, I'm gonna pull up the receipts on this conversation next.
So I'm going to ask you a question. Do you advertise on Bing?
Yeah. Well, I have in the past, but I don't think we are.
Have in the past. Okay, so why don't you?
What's that?
Does Bing not matter?
No, Bing matters.
Okay.
Name matters. I think it was something like it fell under my radar. It just doesn't matter as much, as
was that my point?
Yeah.
Is that Google matters most. So that's where you put your time and effort into it.
That's fine. Don't do featured placement on TripShot, Greg. It's fine. Don't even use TripShot because it just doesn't matter. Again, I don't know. Am I the CEO of TripShot or are you the CEO of TripShot? Something I want to touch on though, really quick, because it's like a drum that I constantly beat into operators' heads who just don't want to fucking listen because they're constantly on this acquisition, right? And it's a constant I get direct versus OTA, and I feel as though there is a misconception or a preconception that you're constantly, for the life of your business, going to pay the same amount to acquire new customers. Or to have customers come to your business, right? Mm-hmm. If you pay an OTA, and this is why, Greg asked me, why would you spend 5x ROAS when 10x is your number, and profitability versus profit and these sort of things that you brought up the last time we had this conversation. All of that inside of a vacuum, if you look at it, mm-hmm. If I pay 20% to an OTA to acquire a customer, the OTA game is in the acquisition year over year. The OTA, rather, is in the acquisition game year over year over year. And their final product is us. So if I pay Greg 20% to acquire a client, or I say, hey, I want to be in the top 3 search results, and I pay additional commission or monthly fees or whatever the product is on any platform to acquire that customer, then I'm in the game of a much, much cheaper proposition. And that's keeping that customer, which is literally pennies on the dollar for what I'm going to pay to get that customer. So if I pay 25% or 20% plus $3,000 or whatever it is, however you want to look at it, to acquire that customer, and then that customer should be mine. If they come back next year, they come back 2 and 3 years, I shouldn't be in the commodity game of trying to acquire that customer, because if I'm doing things the right way, then once I pay that 25%, it's mine. It's my customer for a life. And this is where service and productization, I guess is the word I'm looking for, commodified products. This is where the res tech and all this stuff sort of borrows from products, right? Because once you become a buyer of a certain product, you generally you buy Kleenex, you don't buy bathroom tissue, you buy channel locks, you don't buy pliers, right? And this is where you, as a service provider, have to take a page from the product listings, which is how OTAs and Google and everything kind of position us as being products. So there's a game that you kind of have to play to keep those people buying Destiny and Water Adventures, not TripShock. They can buy TripShock the first time. And if I got to pay 30% for that, that's fine. Because next year, hopefully they come back, or 3 years they come back and I pay 0 if I'm playing the retention game the right way. So you're ostensibly buying a customer for them. And it should be a one-time trip. I don't know how many customers are constantly booking through TripAdvisor and coming to Destiny Water Adventures. It might happen once. It might happen twice, but I promise you, if they're coming to rent boats or jet skis from us, I'm yo, why are you still booking through fucking TripShock? I'll give you a 10% discount.
Going back to the feature placement part of it, knowing that 50% goes to the top 3 listings, these are where businesses need to make decisions on their OTA strategy, because it's now more than just paying a commission. It's how do I get the most out of these platforms? So if you're ranked number 10 for boat tours in your market, you know that only less than 2% are going down that far. Are you on those platforms just to get some brand recognition? Are you on those platforms to get bookings? Are you on the platforms to just get high, low commission, high margin product sales. What is your purpose of being on there? Because if your purpose is to drive a lot of volume, then you need to be seen. You need to be in the top ranking. And if you're late to the game and you don't have any reviews yet, you're brand new to these platforms, then you need to be paying to get traffic, even maybe from the start. And maybe it's not a long-term strategy, but you need to get exposure. And I know that I'm making a pitch for TripShock here at the same time, and not every business is a good candidate for featured placement. If it's a very competitive market that has a lot of bookings going through, I mean, you can ask like our TripShock staff, hey, is this category very competitive? Does it get a lot of bookings? That's the questions I would be asking. But even on these other platforms as well, that's the same mindset you want, is that you want to be in the top 3. Either you pay or you're organic. If you're organically in the top 3, you're probably fine. If you have a lot of inventory that you need to move, then it might make sense even paying to get additional exposure, to get even more click-throughs. But you need clicks. You need people viewing your product if you want bookings. And if you're only getting a fraction of those views, you're not going to get any bookings. And it's just not going to be a great experience on those OTAs. Now, you're in a market where you're the only product, you're number one. You probably don't have to do featured placement. You are the featured placement because you're the only product.
So the reason I sort of brought up everything that I brought up, retention, the relationship, the added value that the platform is bringing you, best practices, those email newsletters that you constantly delete. The reason I bring all that up is most operators have the same reaction. What's your percentage? That's it, right? Like, out of 100, I get 75. You want 25%. And then it's just like, click, throw away the email, pay zero attention to your listing. And listen, I talk with Steve about it all the time. He's like, you're a rare breed, man. Like, you call me all the time when we talk about shit. Most of these guys set it and forget it. And that's the problem, right? Because whatever it is, like, again, we pay concierges 30%. And back in the day, they go in there and slip them cash or pay them a little bit more than their competitors. They do street barkers and all sorts of stuff. It's the same thing. Right? So you're paying them more because you want them to pitch your their concierge street barkers, South Florida, Key West. These guys get a commission, but they had like tiers, right? Because they sold multiple products. Because if parasail company A was sold out, then they wanted to be able to sell parasail B. So they wanted the real estate on the street to be, get its most value on it. Unless an operator owned like a surf shop or something like that, and they just had exclusivity there, and that's all they sold. But a lot of these guys had problems, the companies that were paying these guys, because other operators would come up and be like, hey, make me number one this weekend, and slip them some extra money or give them a higher commission under the table or off the radar, whatever. But the whole point to this is, like, if you're paying 20% and that's 23%, and then they're like, hey, throw us an additional 3% and we'll give you featured placement or whatever it is, then like you have to figure out how you can extract the value out of that additional, rather than just going like, well, I'm getting $75 because I'm paying 25. Well, now I'm only getting 70 because I'm paying 30%. Well, where's the additional value that comes in that 5%, and where can you find it? You put them in your email list. You retain a customer for life. You give them a CL, a customer lifetime value. You reach out to their department and figure out what best practices are or the best trends for listing a product. And you can apply this stuff to your direct sales. There's all these little hints and tips and tricks where an OTA also wants to retain you. So they're going to provide additional value. But if you're not going to be a part of the process and talk to them and have this kind of relationship, it's not just that third spot is what I'm trying to say, or the second spot at the tier. Yes, you get the customer. Yes, you get the conversion. Yes, you get the $70 or $75 out of the $100. But additionally, what can you learn from them? And what additional value can extract from that relationship to make your business an overall better value proposition for your customer?
Yeah, I think most businesses list with these OTAs or platforms just because they want to be on the platform, but not that they really want to invest in it. I've noted, I would say about 80% of TripShock partners is that they do it because their competitors are on there. But if they got 10 bookings a month, they're fine. Like, that's satisfying. But those that want bookings from our site, that really try, that put great imagery, that talk to our team on a weekly basis, that do feature placement, like, they truly want to see the platform sell. Like, they're always the most successful ones, and their products move up in the rankings over time, and that's how you build a relationship with a platform. Now, the question is that, like, with these accelerate programs or feature placement, is it just milking the supplier? And my answer to that is, like, no, it's not. Because if you have an opportunity to get more exposure, like, it'd be nice if the platforms offered that. Because if you're a new business and you're in a very competitive market, there's no way that these new businesses can even have a chance if there's 50 to 100 competitors that are listed on these sites. So having these programs help the newer business get exposure off the rip, like, build a relationship, because otherwise they wouldn't even have that opportunity to be really. I personally think that in 5 years, platforms will dominate, like, our industries.
All industries.
And if platforms dominate the industry, then how are new businesses able to get exposure if they're dealing with these legacy products? So I really think these programs are great for companies and people that really want to invest in them. If you don't want to invest in them, it's fine. You can just list and get a handful of bookings every month or whatever. But they're there to grow your business. They're there to get you more exposure, and the placements don't lie. Those top 3 placements getting 50% of the click-throughs, that's pretty much across the board. Google Ads, Google Organic. I mean, hell, like I was telling Kevin the other day, is that we have some search terms that we rank number 1 on organically on Google, and we get 3% click-through because there's Google Ads, there's rich content, all that crap that shows up on top, taking majority of the click-throughs now.
So I did this early on in the beginning when Greg and I first started going. Greg was really transparent, like, and I feel like we're not going to talk numbers, but I think you felt it, because I could even feel the trepidation in your voice when you shot the number at me to push day of play and to do feature placement on day of play, like, because I know that like kind of shaky number voice that comes like, and I'm like done. Deal. And you're like, fuck, man, that was easy, because, like, he went for a high number. And I was fine with that because I knew there was no search volume for day of play. No one was searching for day of play. Like, I looked in my Ahrefs and SEMrush, and I knew that day of play, nobody was searching for that. But he had a good number for my boat rentals and for my jet ski rentals. He knew that was just going to be another product that could go. And he gave me one number on that. And he gave me a higher number on a product that I knew I needed visibility on. So, like, obviously in our market for boat rentals and jet ski rentals, jet ski rentals lately, boat rentals is just like, it's like blood in the water, right? There's nothing, like, you can do anything. So he gave me a fair number on that. And the other number was fair too, it was just a little higher. So I knew if once we got the boat rentals going, like, we could just throw that in there, it was going to go. But at the same point in time, in today's market, being even highly more competitive on the boat rentals, if I was a new operator in this landscape with boat rentals, even then I'd be like, dog, if you're going to bump me up, give me some extra visibility, because I'm just a head amongst 1,000 other heads here. But to the point earlier I made about, if you're in a lake town and you're competing against the entire market, I knew that's what day of play was going to do. I knew I was trying to compete with boat rentals, something that there was search for, people wanted, Crab Island. Yeah. I knew all that shit. But I was like, man, I thought if I can bring Crab Island, and I got this whole idea and this whole new water sports concept that happens in South Florida but not here, but I know no one's looking for it, then I need to stand out. And so bump me up in the rankings. It's going to cost me a little more money to acquire customers, to get the word of mouth going about our products, services, and business. Then we're going to do it. And it worked out. It worked out across the board. So it's like, don't be a cheap ass.
So let's wrap it up here. We're getting to time. So I just want to make a couple ending points here. One is if you want more exposure and more bookings from these platforms, invest in their featured programs. Like, get to the top 3 until you feel like you're getting enough business. You can always, I'm sure, like our program and Viator's program, these other ones, they allow you to pay it monthly, or there's different types of programs for it. But if you want to do it, and so my second point is, even if you don't have maybe the funds for doing feature placement, see how else. Get with your reps and just ask, like, how else can I do what else can I do to get exposure? Your goal is to get into the top of the pack. Like, do not be complacent to the fact that if you're just listed on there, you're not going to get bookings. Like, you're just not going to be competitive enough. So make a plan to get in the top rankings. Or if you don't care, then just list and be happy with the couple bookings you get. But if you want to get a lot of bookings, you have to have a plan and you have to be proactive.
Do it. Spend the money. Stop being cheap. Let's go. And if you guys, who can, if current Trip Shock partners that are listening to this that are interested in feature placement, Greg, who can they get a hold of? Should I just give them your phone number or your address?
Yeah. So you would contact Luke at tripshock.com. Luke.
This is how bad at sales Greg is. He doesn't even want to pitch his product on his own show. God, man, come on, dude. Let's go.
No.
Let's go, man. We're all out. We're all out here trying to make some money. You know what I mean? And it's like I tell Greg, he always just wants to deliver so much value, and he doesn't want to ask for the sale, and he wants to be nice to you guys, but fuck that. Give him your money. All right, guys. Thanks for listening, and as always, keep it awkward.